Howdy folks, Jen here. Today I am going to be talking about narcissists, psychopaths. What are they? How do you tell the difference? And why do HSPs, highly sensitive people, often find themselves falling prey to these types of people? But before I get started, just a bit of an introduction about me for people who don't know me. So I'm Jen Turnham and I'm a mindset coach, and I am passionate about using my psychology degree to help women find freedom from the thought processes that are holding them back. And I specialise in helping sensitive women who are also extroverts. And the way I do that is through my free Facebook group called, oh, there goes my alarm, excuse me. My free Facebook group called Bright Sparks, Empathetic Extroverted Warrior Women. So if you think that this sounds like you, we would love to have you join us in the group. If you know somebody that might be a sensitive extrovert, then please share the link to the group with them. The link to join is in the post attached to this video. If you're watching the replay, please let me know below so that I can circle back and say hi and thank you for watching. Now, today, as I mentioned, I am going to talk about narcissists and psychopaths. And the reason I'm bringing psychopaths in is because they're very similar. They're both personality disorders. And I think that the term narcissist is thrown around a lot on social media, and I'm not sure how many people know exactly what a narcissist is and also how similar a psychopath is. And so I thought I'd take the opportunity to explain a little bit more about them, and also a little bit about why highly sensitive people tend to find themselves falling prey to these types of people. Now, this is part one of a three-part series. So this is just going to be a bit of an intro on the two personality disorders, and how to spot them I'm going to cover in the next two videos. So I'll go into a lot more detail about what a narcissistic personality disorder looks like and what a psychopath looks like, and how you can spot them in order to avoid falling victim to them. So narcissist or psychopath, I like to say kind of same but different. So if you've come across somebody that you think is a narcissist, you might be right, or they might also be a psychopath. So I'm going to go through the definition from the DSM-4, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders that psychologists use when they're diagnosing people. So narcissistic personality disorder is a pervasive pattern of grandiosity in fantasy or behaviour, need for admiration, lack of empathy, beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts, as indicated by 5 or more of the following. 1. Has a grandiose sense of self-importance, for example, exaggerates achievements and talents, expects to be recognised as superior without commensurate achievements. 2. Is preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. 3. Believes that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high status people or institutions. 4. Requires excessive admiration. 5. Has a sense of entitlement, i.e. unreasonable expectations of especially favourable treatment or automatic compliance with his or her expectations. 6. Is interpersonally exploitative, i.e. takes advantage of others to achieve his or her own ends. 7. Lacks empathy, is unwilling to recognise or identify with the feelings and needs of others. 8 is often envious of others or believes that others are envious of him or her. 9 shows arrogant, haughty behaviours or attitudes. So that's the DSM criteria. What does that actually mean in layman's terms? So I'll just give you a quick overview. So narcissistic personality disorder is basically a pervasive pattern. So that means it's kind of in all areas of their life it shows up. It's a pervasive pattern of them being higher than, better than, special. So they're kind of above everybody else. And they need others to recognize how special and amazing and better than they are, and pretty much worship the ground that they walk on. So that's narcissistic personality disorder. Now, when it comes to the term psychopath, that isn't actually used in the diagnostic manual. The most similar personality disorder is antisocial personality disorder. So I'm going to go through the criteria for that. It's a little bit shorter than narcissistic, and then I'll give you a general explanation in layman's terms. So antisocial personality disorder, there is a pervasive pattern of disregard for and violation of the rights of others occurring since age 15, as indicated by 3 or more of the following. 1. Failure to conform to social norms with respect to lawful behaviours, as indicated by repeatedly performing acts that are grounds for arrest. 2. Deceitfulness, as indicated by repeated lying, use of aliases or conning others for personal profit or pleasure. 3. Impulsivity or failure to plan ahead. 4. Irritability and aggressiveness, as indicated by repeated physical fights or assaults. 5. Reckless disregard for safety of self or others. 6. Consistent irresponsibility, as indicated by repeated failure to sustain consistent work behaviour or honour financial obligations. 7. Lack of remorse, as indicated by being indifferent to or rationalising having hurt, mistreated or stolen from another. So it's important to point out here that antisocial personality disorder or psychopaths, even though they're kind of always operating on the edge of the law, they're not always criminals. So psychopaths, if you Google psychopaths, they're actually a lot more common in today's society than most people realise. I think the statistic's about 1 in 100, and the way it kind of works with somebody who is a psychopath is they can kind of go in one of two directions. They end up living a life as a criminal, or they can also end up being highly, highly successful business people. So that's just something to bear in mind, because the term psychopath, kind of like movies and stuff have turned it into something that it actually isn't really. So that's psychopath or antisocial personality disorder from the DSM-4, but what does that mean? So I would suggest that it's a pervasive disregard for the rights and feelings of others and for the law. Essentially, a psychopath does whatever the hell they want. They're reckless, they're impulsive, they take advantage of others, they're deceitful, and they're irresponsible. So what are the main similarities and the main differences between narcissists and psychopaths? So similarities, both personality types tend to take advantage of others. Both of them display little to no empathy, and both types engage in lies and manipulation of others. Now, the main differences, narcissists, I like to think that they consider themselves almost like a god, and they believe they're brilliant and they require excessive admiration. Whereas a psychopath, they view themselves as above the law, but it's not all about them. Whereas a narcissist, it's all about them. So a psychopath believe they're above the law, and they live a more chaotic, reckless, irresponsible life, or their past can give some kind of hints because it's lots of stuff has happened to them in their past. So they're the main similarities and differences. Now I just want to touch briefly on why do highly sensitive people often find themselves falling prey to narcissists or psychopaths. I think one of the reasons is, as a highly sensitive person, we give the majority of people the benefit of the doubt all the time. So it takes us a while to figure out if somebody isn't quite what they seem because we're giving them the benefit of the doubt. I also think that highly sensitive people have a kind of naive innocence about them, and we almost, we have this naive view that everybody is like us. So everybody's a decent, caring, compassionate, empathetic person. So we find it difficult to, I suppose, wrap our heads around the fact that there are people out there who have zero empathy because we have so much empathy. So they're kind of like our polar opposites. The other thing that highly sensitive people, it's quite common for us to lack boundaries. And this is the biggest thing you can do to help stop yourself becoming a victim of a narcissist or a psychopath. So that's again why we're often targets, is because we don't have the boundaries in place to prevent those people from getting close and from hurting us. All right, so that's pretty much just, as I said, a brief intro on what they are and what the differences are and why HSPs are often victims. So my challenge for you this week is try a couple of things from the, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong page. I'm going, that doesn't make sense. All right, that was my other video. Okay, so part 2, so that was part 1, which was a bit of an intro. Part 2, stay tuned for that, because I'm going to talk about, go into a bit more detail about narcissists, how to spot one, and how you can stop yourself from being their next victim. And then part 3 is going to be the same, but with psychopaths or antisocial personality disorder. So your challenge this week, this is the right one, is to have a look through your past and see if you have any experiences with people who may fit the definition of narcissists or psychopaths. And we're going to have a conversation in the group about this. So I'm going to ask you to share, what was it like? What were those experiences like? How long before you noticed that something wasn't right? And how did you get out of that situation or relationship? Or maybe you're still there. Maybe you're still stuck in it. So that's pretty much all for today. I would really appreciate it if you could drop me a line having watched this video and let me know your thoughts. This is really, really helpful because it basically lets me know whether these videos are helpful or not. So if you could drop me a couple of lines on, was it helpful? Do you have any questions? What are your thoughts? And that would be very much appreciated. That's all for this week's video. I look forward to chatting more about this in the group. Stay tuned for part 2, which is more detail about narcissists and how to spot them. Have a good week. I'll chat to you. Have a good weekend, I should say. Chat to you soon.